The day that I'm filming this is the day that the Penguin Magic website got a facelift, which is for the better. Does that help this product? Probably not. Today, I am taking a look at the Impossible Magic Kit. This is something that came out over a year ago, and I was really on the fence about reviewing it, and I'm reviewing it now to get it just completely out of the way so I don't have to think about it anymore. On this channel, I talked about, or one of the things I mentioned is kind of like a dividing line between 10 and under or 10 and over if you're learning magic. That's kind of two different age groups. And for the longest time, there were a couple of magic sets that were for ages over 10, and this is definitely a contender. Unfortunately, for me, and for what I want for things, it just doesn't meet the mark. Because what this does is it attempts to take out any prop that would be associated with a magician, like a silk or a sponge ball or a rope. And it uses normal objects. It also does something a little bold, and it mentions a magic blogger who's, I'm going to assume still fairly underground, although I'm sure if you went to a magic convention and asked about this website, there'd be a handful of people who would know about it. And that is the Jerks. Is mentioned a couple of times in this, and some of the ideology is attempting to like carry over from that website, I feel personally, but it just kind of misses the mark. And I want to talk about, before I get into this, three terms that I think are important in talking about this. The first is EDC, which is everyday carry. And here in the year 2026, it seems like every single magic product has EDC as one of the advertisement selling points. So it doesn't mean anything anymore. The goal of that was to produce magic items that you could carry with you every day, and it wouldn't be obtrusive to your daily life, because we all want to perform more magic, and wouldn't it be nice if we could just carry it in our pockets all the time? But then you go days and weeks, nobody asks to see something, or you don't feel like performing anything, and then it is just carrying all this stuff around is not all that fun anymore. So the next term that I want to talk about is Uncanny Valley magic props. Now, in the past, there were magic props that were a foreign object, like a sponge ball or any Tenyo item that you can name. And then, of course, the goal is to perform magic with items that people already recognize, like a rubber band or a ring. And so, magic companies are creating props that look like normal objects, or rather, to the best of their ability, trying to create props that look like normal objects. And sometimes they don't always look the same. And you can tell when you're looking at, for example, a gimmicked bottle cap. So, Uncanny Valley props are something you want to avoid in magic. The last term I want to talk about is Googleability. The elephant in the room in this day and age is that you can pull up your phone now and look up any magic trick. Worse than that, you can take a photo of something and have Google search it for you and get your answer. Now, you might say, okay, well, if I'm doing a show, I don't really care that people look it up afterwards, and that's fine. I may or may not think that way as well. But when you're performing magic just for your friends and family, passing the Googleability test is part of the whole interaction. And your magic is not going to be as strong, or the whole experience isn't going to be as strong if you ignore that. Make sense? So those are the three things, three terms to keep in mind here during this review: everyday carry, uncanny valley magic props, and Googleability. With that, let's get started. So this kit was compiled by Tim Trono and a number of other people. And in the advertisement for it, there's a who's who of magicians all giving it praise. And some of those people I really respect. And with this review, I'm probably going to go against a lot of them. One of the other things that inspired me to make this review is that I'm not the only person to think something's up with this set. Probably last year at some point, David Regal also did a review of this kit in Genie magazine and pointed out that it was very niche. I don't remember the rest of the review, but I just kind of felt if David Regal is saying something, I want to get my 2 cents out there too. This video isn't going to get a lot of views anyway, so there's that. One of the curses of magic right now is when you buy something, it comes in a really, well-packaged box. And then you get another trick, and that comes in a well-packaged box. And then you have 10 tricks, and they're all, stacked this high, but then the props are only take up that much space. And so I can forgive this because it's a magic kit, but I thought I'd put that out there. You get a nice little booklet, and to be fair, the booklet does go into other effects that you can do with these items. I'm just going to talk about the main ones. The first thing we're going to talk about is the vanishing lens cloth, which I don't wear glasses. I do wear sunglasses, but I won't be performing this at all. This is a dressed up vanishing silk. So instead of using a crumpled up dinky red silk, they have you use a lens cloth, which is actually just a silk with a logo on it. Just in case you couldn't tell that, it's a lens cloth. I don't think this is necessary. You could just buy a white silk and get a hold of these little cheapo plastic sleeves and essentially have the same thing. And it works exactly the same way as the vanishing silk. So if you're someone that wears glasses, that's great. I do not, except for the sunglasses, but I'm not going to carry around this plus the extra item, which is a thumb tip. Now, to be fair, they do go a little more in depth with the thumb tip, but even then, I'm not entirely convinced. Now, when it comes to the thumb tip, I've got to be honest with you. I recently bought some thumb tips for my friends because they're getting into magic too, and I found a bunch of resources that they could use with just a bunch of stuff taught on them. And then I looked over those resources myself, and I found that almost none of the things was something that they would have any interest in doing just by carrying around a thumb tip in their pocket. Now, you could argue, okay, the thumb tip is You just have to understand how to use it and then find the opportunity for it. And I think that's fine. You can carry it around in your bag. It's not going to be an issue. In this booklet, they do even mention that you can look into doing a bill switch but they don't teach you one. They just tell you to go find one. I understand we can't give away every secret, but being that this is an intermediate magic course, I think the bill switch is something that's completely fair game. And if you want to see the Amar bill switch video, he has it on his streaming website for World's Greatest Magic. So if that's helpful to you, great. The next thing in here, I tried to do some experimenting. It's a bracelet through the wrist that passes through a spectator's wrist. Unfortunately though, they don't teach you how to wear this thing like a bracelet. In the video, Nick Lacapo just takes it out of his pocket and says, "This is a bracelet." And so I tried to make some kind of, connection on it. Unfortunately, that interfered with the method. So that didn't work out. This effect, though, isn't the strongest magic effect. This is also technically not examinable. It's iffy. I'll say that. It's iffy. I feel like, as opposed to teaching this, which is clever, it would have been the opportunity to teach just something with rubber bands, because there's a billion things you can do with rubber bands that are nearly identical. So that's how I feel about the cord through the arm. The next item is this. What this is, as described, is an effect where you put quarters into this bottle cap and they vanish and appear somewhere else. Now let me ask you a question. Is this a bottle cap? Or is this a bottle cap? You tell me. This looks like it goes on the bottom of a tripod. So I would call this an uncanny valley magic prop. Now, granted, this prop used to be blue and looked like nothing. I think Tenyo still makes these. Can you sense my frustration as I'm telling you about all this stuff? Because they had the best intentions when creating this magic kit. And I feel like I know too much, and it just all falls short to me. Because I made the same thing with a bottle cap. And I just stuck a quarter on the other side of it. You guys, you can watch the video a bunch of times. You can figure out this is just a little cap with a quarter stuck to the other side of it. Now, is that more convincing than this? Probably. You probably have to be a little cozy with this bottle cap. Could you try to make a sticker or something that just, or just a thin disc that could adhere to the bottom of this cap, that you steal off later? You could probably do that too. And I wish that is what I had in my hand right now, not this. The next thing here is the pen through the bill. Now, I have a long history with a pen through the bill. I've seen lots of versions of it. I know it exists. I know what can be done with it. My favorite version is used by Magic Ballet, and I learned that way back when, in a Phantasma Magic kit, of all things. And he still teaches his handling on his Penguin Magic lecture. But they don't teach you that in this project. They have taught you that on one of the older projects, the Box of Powers. I believe it's on there. And it feels like an incomplete lesson to me. And I knew that method since I was a 6th grader, and I would want other people to have the same thing. Now, when I went to Magic Live last year, I bumped into Magic Ballet, and I asked him if Tim Trono had talked to him, would he have taught his handling of the pen through the bill? And Magic said yes. So, Penguin Magic, get in touch with Magic Ballet and shoot an extra video for this kit and tack it on there with the download that's included here, because that is going to up the value of this kit. Right now I'm about to unpack a can of worms. The next effect taught in this course is a blister revelation. Now I know a few people, and there either is or was a lot of controversy about said blister effect. Ignoring that for right now, what this project teaches is to do a number reveal. But the way to get there is not that exciting. You have the spectator punch in numbers on their phone calculator, do some mathematics, and then choose the highest number, and then you reveal the number that they're thinking of blistered onto your thumb by doing probably something where you like put your thumb to their forehead and say, concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. Not my thing. I know of effects where it's a playing card, and for the sake of this kit, we'll step away from playing cards. There's also one where it's ESP symbols that you get blistered onto your finger. And I believe it's called Psionic, and apparently it's still available. So if you want to look into that, go ahead. I would also like to pick one of those up myself. Okay, the next item here is this Guess a Date effect, and this is a play on the, I'd just call it the binary number trick, for lack of a better name, that appears on, cereal boxes. So I like how this is dressed up. I like that these are not paper, and that if you get water on them or if you get them dirty, you could just rub that right off. Excellent. Perfect. I don't like that it's dressed up as Guess a Date. This is an effect where I'm worried about Googleability, because I took a picture of these cards and was sent directly to the page on Penguin Magic where you can buy this kit. Also, you can't just have cards from an ambiguous board game unless you know what the original goal of the game was. It's one thing to say, here's a packet of cards from the game Life, and it's another thing to say, here's a packet of cards from a game called Guess a Date, which is a thing that never existed. So I appreciate the system that they built into this. It just, the more you start thinking about what this is, it unravels. It suffers from being an uncanny valley magic prop and Googleability. And despite this being not much to just carry around in your wallet, that's not something I'm gonna do. So the last thing I want to talk about is this. This is a version of Crazy Cube. And this is probably the only reason why I bought this kit for $40. I have to be really careful here because there's some real secrets and real underground stuff to talk about that I can't talk about. What I do want to tell you though is that the ad copy publicly says that this is a film canister. I'm old enough to know what a film canister looks like. This is not a film canister. Also, you run into the same issue with uncanny valley magic props and Googleability, because I took a picture of this and was also directed to a page where you could buy this trick. I do have a solution. You don't really need this canister because you can go out and buy a vintage film canister, which oddly enough is the exact same color scheme as the original trick that this goes with. But now I feel safer saying I have a film canister, a light-proof container, and some dice. But that is an extra expense to go out and find this thing for yourself when you already spent $40 to get this kit. That being said, Penguin has been running a promotion on this kit where they will then give you a $10 gift card voucher to then use on their website to buy something else. All right, I think I've exhausted everything, every little itty bitty thought or nitpick I had about this thing. And I want to end on this. A few years ago, when I started this channel, or restarted it, it was because a magic kit had popped up at Costco. And that video I made for it got a bunch of views, and so I felt responsible. And so I started to look at other magic kits and try and figure out where the good stuff was, or just comment on what could be improved, so that way later somebody could make something else. I need to comment that magic sets, I learned this from a Roberto Giobbi book. A long time ago, magic sets were made to order, in that you would tell the magic shop what you wanted, and then they would send it to you. Wow, almost like Penguin Magic. Almost like every time you order anything from a magic website, you're getting a magic kit. But that concept was then, expanded and marketed, and now we have the crazy magic sets that we have today. But it's the year 2026, and despite my best intentions, I really feel now the concept of a magic set for ages 10 and up is a thing that does not need to exist. What I would appreciate is a watered down version, a starter pack, if you will, where you just give Penguin $50 or whatever, and they say, here are our best sellers, we'll send them out to you. And it just comes in a brown cardboard box, and it's just a Raven Mini, a cartoon deck, I don't know, we'll say self-tying shoelaces, why not? And then just a bunch of starter videos. That's all you need. We don't need to keep doing this by this well-packaged, nice box and start here. We can survive and get by without that. That's my new feeling now. Penguin Magic, if you're listening, I'm around. You can contact me. I can give you my 2 cents on all this stuff. I'm not doing anything. Just contact me. I will be more than happy to help out. All right, you guys, that was a lot to unpack. I will see you all in the next video. Until then, keep up the good magic. See you later.